welcome to my channel. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and like. The three sons of Dracos scorched everything like a cosmic blast furnace, turning the open-air market into a shimmering sea of heat waves. Rickety stalls, cobbled together from scrap metal and tattered tarps, swayed in the blistering wind, as if the planet itself was exhaling fire. The shouts of alien vendors mixed with the sputter of ancient machinery, and the haggling over prices, creating a chaotic symphony in dozens of strange tongues. At the heart of this inferno, Jake Malone sprawled on a makeshift chair, pieced together from the wreckage of an abandoned freighter. His lanky legs dangled over the edge, his worn-out boots exposing toes caked in the red dust of Dracos 4. His faded green jacket, once a point of pride when he worked for an interplanetary mining crew, was now a crumpled wad serving as a pillow under his head. Jake had a talent he proudly called cosmic napping, the ability to doze off no matter the circumstances, from the searing heat of Dracos 4 to the market's relentless din. A small puddle of drool pooled at the corner of his mouth, proof that not even the chaos around him could interrupt his slumber. "Hey, you lazy human! You gonna sleep all day while I hawk this junk alone?" Krez, a four-armed Xylaxian merchant with pearlescent, scaly skin, kicked Jake's chair hard. The jolt rattled the whole contraption, but Jake barely stirred, eyes still shut, as if the world could crumble and he'd still be snoozing. "Gimme 5 more minutes, Krez," Jake mumbled, his voice nearly drowned out by the market's noise. Krez glared, his forked tongue flicking out in irritation. "You said that 3 hours ago, Malone!" Krez slammed one of his forehands against a nearby metal pole, making the tarp overhead wobble, nearly collapsing. "Your recycled power cores are still gathering dust in the back. My customers are waiting." Jake cracked one eye open, squinting against the blinding glare of the three suns. "Chill, Krez. Quality takes time. You want me to sell garbage and have it boomerang back?" He sat up slowly, stretching with a yawn that could have echoed across the galaxy, revealing a sweat-stained, oil-smeared t-shirt that looked like it hadn't seen a wash in months. "My stuff's legit. Just temporarily misplaced from some cold storage, you know?" Krez shot him a look. "Misplaced? You scavenged that crap from a wrecked freighter, don't bullshit me. Get those cores out here before I roast you under these suns." He jabbed a hand skyward, where the 3 red orbs blazed mercilessly. Jake shrugged, fishing a rusty metal box from under his chair. Inside, faintly glowing power cores flickered. They weren't top shelf, but in the mess of Dracos 4's market, they'd fetch enough credits for a meal. He tossed the box to Krez, who started inspecting the cores with the speed of 4 hands, muttering curses in Xylaxian. "Split the profits 50-50, don't forget," Jake said, flopping back onto his chair and pulling his jacket over his face to block the light. "Now let me catch some Z's." Krez grumbled something, probably a longer string of curses, but stomped off with the box. The market quieted as the suns hit their peak, driving even the toughest vendors to seek shade. Jake didn't care. To him, the heat was just a warm invitation to sleep deeper. He drifted off, dreaming of a juicy burger, dripping with sauce, paired with an ice-cold beer, a luxury he could only fantasize about on Dracos 4. But his burger dream was cut short when a shadow loomed over him. Jake ignored it, hoping it'd vanish like most things that weren't food or sleep. Then a voice broke through, shattering his vision of grilled perfection. "Excuse me, are you Jake Malone, the one they call Yawn under the stars?" Jake didn't bother moving his jacket. "Depends who's asking. If it's the Galactic Tax Authority, nope. If you're buying, maybe. If you're handing out free grub, hell yeah, that's me." He waved a hand vaguely, eyes still closed. "Job center's that way. Try it." The stranger chuckled softly. "I heard you know this place better than anyone. I need a guide." Jake sighed, muttering through the jacket. "Not interested in gigs that require standing up. Job center that way." He waved again, still blind. "I pay well," the stranger said, stepping closer. Jake reluctantly peeled the jacket off his face, ready to shut this down and get back to napping. But his words died when he saw who stood before him. The market seemed to fade as he gawked at an alien woman so stunning she looked like she'd stepped out of a hologram ad. Her pale blue skin shimmered like ocean waves under sunlight, with faint patterns rippling across it as she moved. Her large, amber eyes glowed like they held a galaxy inside. Her sleek outfit, made of some liquid metal fabric, shifted from silver to blue to purple, like a living work of art. Her long, silver-white hair floated gently in the hot breeze, untouched by Dracos 4's oppressive heat. Jake blinked, jaw-dropping. Huh? She smiled, flashing pearly teeth. I'm Vera-san, of the Verdant Galactic Alliance. And you? Her eyes scanned him, a flicker of disappointment crossing her face. You're shorter than I expected. Jake stayed sprawled, too lazy to stand. Most folks look taller when they get up, he said, not taking his eyes off her. What's the deal, Miss Galaxy? Verdant Galactic Alliance, Vera corrected. I need a guide through the black markets of this system, off the radar. I was told you're the best. Sounds like work. Jake yawned, pulling his jacket back over his face. I don't do stuff that messes with my sleep schedule. Find someone else. Vera yanked the jacket off, holding it out of reach. This is important, human. I'm not leaving until you hear me out. Jake glared at his confiscated jacket with longing. Give it back. I'm busy. Not until you listen, Vera said, dangling it farther away. Jake sat up, sighing dramatically, like this was the hardest thing he'd done all day. Fine, you got 3 minutes. Then I'm back to my packed schedule of doing jack squat. Vera hesitated, her eyes sizing him up, as if wondering if he was worth her time. Then she stepped forward, thrusting her chest toward him. Jake flinched, nearly toppling off his chair, eyes wide. Whoa, what the hell? It's a greeting in my culture, Vera explained. You must acknowledge my gems or it's a grave insult to my clan. Jake stared at her chest, then up at her face, trying to figure out if this was a prank. Gems? You mean those? He pointed, utterly confused. Correct. Vera nodded. That's the closest translation in your language. You must greet them respectfully, or our negotiation can't proceed. Jake had seen plenty of weird customs on Dracos 4, Grax merchants dancing to attract buyers, Voltharians squirting ink to seal deals, but this took the cake. Still, he wasn't about to spark an interstellar incident over a misunderstanding. With a lazy yawn, he waved at her chest. Hey, Gems. Nice to meet ya. Vera frowned, clearly unimpressed. Most people are more formal. Lady, I've seen weirder shit before breakfast, Jake said, leaning back, hiding a grin. We done? I need my jacket to nap. Before Vera could reply, a sound like shattering glass ripped through the sky, sharp and jarring, silencing the market. Vendors and customers froze, looking up in panic. Dracos 4's pale green atmosphere tore open, revealing a dark vortex, like a gash in reality. A blazing object shot out, trailing silver light, hurtling toward Jake and Vera at terrifying speed. Move! Vera shouted, diving aside. Jake, true to form, did nothing. As the object rocketed closer, he yawned, eyes drooping. His body, honed by years of dodging responsibility, started slipping into sleep mid-stand, as if the impending explosion was just another burger dream. The object, a shimmering metal orb etched with swirling patterns, slammed into Jake's chest with enough force to shatter bones. But instead of crushing him, it fused into his body, embedding itself in his sternum. A moment of stillness passed. Then pain erupted. Silver light poured from Jake's eyes and mouth, dropping him to his knees, clutching his chest. The ground beneath the market trembled, as if Dracos 4 itself was pissed. Stalls collapsed, metal and tarps raining down. Vendors and buyers fled, screaming. Vera stared, her blue skin paling. No, not now, she whispered. The orb in Jake's chest pulsed with energy, sending shockwaves that shattered nearby glass and fried the market's electrical systems. The three suns' red glow bathed the chaos, turning the scene into a hellish painting. What the hell is this? Jake groaned, kneeling, hands gripping his chest where the orb protruded. The pain burned like fire, but he still muttered, "I just wanted a damn nap." Vera crawled closer. "You're the bearer. The Lunachrist chose you." Jake collapsed backward, consciousness fading. His last thought before darkness took him. "This is definitely gonna screw up my sleep schedule." Jake dreamed of stars igniting and dying, galaxies spinning in the void, and ancient voices whispering secrets older than time. He floated in space, needing no air, feeling no cold. The universe unfolded before him, eager to share its origin story, a saga of billions of years, filled with wars, creation, and destruction. Visions flashed through his mind, crystal cities gleaming on distant worlds, colossal warships burning, and a silver orb at the center of it all, pulsing like the universe's heartbeat. "Wake up, bearer!" Vera's voice yanked him from the dream. Jake opened his eyes, finding himself on a pile of soft cushions in a makeshift tent. Red-orange light seeped through gaps in the fabric, signaling sunset on Dracos 4. The pain in his chest had dulled to a throbbing ache, like a healing burn. He looked down and nearly yelped. The metal orb, or Lunachrist, as Vera called it, jutted from his chest, glowing silver with patterns that moved like waves. It looked like part of him, with no blood or wound. Jake touched it lightly, but a shock zapped his arm, making him curse and pull back. "Don't!" Vera grabbed his wrist. "Touching it could kill you. I'm pretty sure this glowing metal chunk in my chest is already doing that." Jake groaned, slumping back onto the cushions. "What happened? What is this thing?" Vera sat beside him. "The Lunachrist, an ancient artifact with power beyond comprehension. It's been lost for millennia, until today. It chose you." "Chose wrong," Jake said, struggling to sit up despite the pain. "I didn't sign up for anything epic. Get it out." "I can't." Vera shook her head. "No one can. The Lunachrist has fused with your life force. Removing it would kill you." Jake brushed the edge of the orb, feeling its strange warmth, like it was alive. "Awesome. So I'm stuck with this shiny rock, and now what? I'm a superhero?" Vera gave a faint smile. "Not quite. But the Verdant Galactic Alliance's prophecies say the Lunachrist's bearer will usher in a new era. And you're the one." Jake laughed, then coughed as pain flared. "Lady, I can't even get to breakfast on time. How am I supposed to lead an era?" He glanced around the tent, noting its surprising comfort, soft cushions, high-tech gadgets disguised as ancient decor, and a faint minty scent. "Where are we? How long was I out?" "My safe house, just outside the market," Vera said, packing gear. "You were out 6 hours. I had to move fast to get you out of there." The Lunachrist's appearance definitely drew attention. Dangerous attention. Before Jake could ask more, the ground shook. He nearly fell off the cushions, grabbing a tent pole for balance. "What now? Earthquake?" Vera rushed to the tent flap, peering out. "Not an earthquake. The Order of the Star Veil." "Who?" Jake asked, stumbling to his feet and grabbing his green jacket from a nearby chair. "Some kinda cosmic street vendors?" "No," Vera said. "A fanatical cult. They've hunted the Lunachrist for centuries. And now they'll hunt you." The ground shook harder. The Lunachrist in Jake's chest glowed, pulsing in sync with his racing heart. "Perfect," he muttered, shrugging on his jacket, each movement making the orb throb. "I just wanted a nap. Now I'm the universe's most wanted, with a glowing rock in my chest." Vera stuffed Tech into a compact bag. "We need to move. I know a place where you can learn more about the Lunachrist. But we have to leave Dracos 4 before the Order finds us." Jake adjusted his jacket, the familiar fabric oddly comforting. "Where to?" "Zypheron at the system's edge," Vera said, checking a handheld device glowing blue. "There's an artifact dealer who can help." Jake grimaced, his stomach growling. "Sounds like a long trip. Any food on the way?" Vera looked at him, torn between annoyance and amusement. "The prophecy did mention the bearer's eternal hunger. Maybe you are the chosen one." "That's not prophecy," Jake said, rubbing his stomach. "That's just me. Let's roll, but I'm gonna need at least one burger before the universe blows up. Vera shook her head, but a small smile tugged at her lips. She pulled Jake out of the tent into Dracos 4's fiery sunset, where new dangers waited, and a slacker like Jake Malone was about to be thrust into the heart of a story bigger than himself. Dracos 4's sunset sky burned blood-red, the fading light of its 3 suns casting long shadows over endless dunes of crimson dust. Jake Malone trudged behind Vera, his faded green jacket soaked with sweat and grime. The lunacris embedded in his chest throbbed with every step, a constant reminder that the long nap he craved was now a pipe dream. His stomach growled, sinking with the hiss of hot wind whipping through scattered junk piles around the market. He wiped sweat from his brow, wincing as his torn boots scraped his heels raw. "Pick up the pace, Malone!" Vera called without looking back. She moved like a cat, her sleek outfit shifting from silver to purple in the twilight glow. A glowing blue handheld device guided them through the maze of dark alleys snaking through the market. "The Order of the Star Veil doesn't wait around," Jake panted, struggling to keep up. "Lady, I ain't no marathon runner. Slow down before I keel over." He stopped, hands on his knees, gasping in the stifling heat. "And where the hell are we going? I thought we were getting off this rock." Vera paused, glancing at him. "We need a ship. Spaceport's north of the market. I know a pilot who owes me a favor. But if you keep dragging your feet, we're toast." Jake muttered, rubbing his stomach. "I didn't sign up for a track meet. This glowing chunk in my chest is enough of a pain already." He brushed the lunacris, feeling its eerie warmth. The orb wasn't glowing now, but it felt alive, like it had a mind of its own. "Got any food? I'm starving here." Vera shook her head, but a faint smile flickered. "Not the time for snacks. Move it!" Before Jake could argue, a boom echoed behind them. He spun around, spotting a black smoke plume rising from the market. Figures in shimmering white cloaks, glinting like stars, emerged from the haze, moving with terrifying precision, their weapons glowing red-hot. The Order of the Star Veil had arrived. "Run!" Vera yelled, yanking Jake into a narrow alley. They sprinted through piles of trash and rusted crates, the sound of pursuing footsteps closing in. The lunacris flared to life, pulsing in time with Jake's hammering heart. Each stride felt like his chest was catching fire, but he gritted his teeth, refusing to collapse. His boots slipped on the uneven ground, and he cursed as he bashed his knee against a metal crate, pain shooting through him. The alley spat them out into a junkyard littered with the skeletal husks of old freighters. Vera skidded to a halt in front of a small ship that looked like it was stitched together from spare parts. Its hull was rusted, the engine exposed, and one wing was crumpled. It wasn't the ride Jake wanted to bet his life on, but right now, he was out of options. "This is the ship?" Jake asked, gasping, clutching his aching knee. "Looks like it'll fall apart before we hit orbit." "Quit whining," Vera snapped, punching a code into a panel on the ship's side. The door hissed open with a screech, revealing a cluttered interior stuffed with cables and crates. "Get in, unless you want to shake hands with the Order." Jake clambered aboard, nearly tripping over a coil of wires. The air inside reeked of oil and burnt metal. A short, gray-skinned Korgathian pilot with 3 eyes lounged at the controls, chomping a glowing blue cigar. His scarred leather jacket was as beat up as the ship, with a long scar slicing across his middle eye. "Who's this slacker?" the pilot asked, eyeing Jake. "Jake Malone, my passenger," Vera said, sealing the door. "Grok, fire this thing up. The Order's right behind us." Grok spat out his cigar, grumbling. "I owe you a favor, Vera, but dragging along a human with a glowing rock in his chest? That wasn't the deal." He pointed at the lunacris, faintly shining through Jake's stained t-shirt. Jake shrugged, collapsing onto a torn leather seat, wincing as a spring dug into his back. "Trust me, I don't want to be here either. But if you've got a burger, I'll be your best friend." Grok chuckled, firing up the engines. The ship shook violently, metal clanking like it was about to implode. Jake gripped his seat, sweat trickling down his spine. With a lurch, the ship lifted off, blasting through Dracos 4's red atmosphere. Through the grimy window, Jake watched the white-cloaked figures of the Order shrink below, but he knew they weren't giving up. Vera sat beside him, checking her device. "We're headed for Zypheron. If we're lucky, we'll get there before the Order catches up." "Lucky?" Jake scoffed, wiping sweat with his sleeve. "You seen this ship? It's a flying scrap heap." Grok spun around, flashing gold teeth. "Hey, this beauty's survived 3 interstellar wars. Show some respect, human." Jake shrugged, shifting to dodge the spring. The Lunacris throbbed, making him grimace. "You mentioned some artifact dealer on Zypheron. Who's he? And what's he know about this chunk of metal?" Vera met his gaze. "His name's Eldrin Vok, a scholar and smuggler. He studies ancient artifacts, including the Lunacris. If anyone knows how to control its power, or get it out of you, it's him." "Get it out?" Jake echoed, perking up. "Hell yeah. I ain't cut out to be some cosmic bearer. I just want a nap and a decent meal." Vera shook her head. "Don't get your hopes up. The Lunacris doesn't pick people at random. It has a reason, even if we don't know it yet." Jake rubbed his growling stomach. "You sure there's no food on this rust bucket? Even a stale energy bar would do." Grok laughed, fishing a crumpled foil-wrapped bar from his jacket and tossing it to Jake. "Chow down, human. Don't say I never gave you nothing." Jake unwrapped it, sniffing. It smelled like old cookies mixed with engine grease, but he tore into it, chewing hungrily. "Thanks. It's all right, but it ain't a burger." The ship rattled as it broke atmosphere, plunging into the black void. Stars twinkled through the window, and for the first time that day, Jake felt a flicker of calm. He munched a bar, trying to ignore the Lunacris ache and the thought of cultists on their tail. But the calm didn't last. A shrill alarm blared from the console, and Grok cursed. "We've got company!" Grok shouted, hands flying over the controls. 3 Order warships, locking on. Jake peered out the window, spotting 3 crescent-shaped ships glinting white like the Order's cloaks. They were smaller than Grok's junker but faster, firing red laser bursts that grazed the hull. One hit shook the ship, nearly knocking Jake's bar out of his hand. "Perfect," Jake muttered, clutching his seat as the spring stabbed deeper. "Never thought I'd die in a flying dumpster." Vera leapt to a wall-mounted cannon. "Grok, keep her steady. I'll take them out." Grok cackled, juking the ship to dodge a laser barrage. "You're a dream, Vera. Malone, do something useful, or at least don't nap through the fight." Jake shrugged, stuffing the rest of the bar in his mouth. The Lunacris glowed brighter, sensing the danger, and a weird energy surged through him, making his limbs twitch. "I ain't a fighter," he yelled, but found himself lurching toward an auxiliary console without thinking. "What are you doing?" Vera snapped, firing plasma rounds at the enemy ships. "Hell if I know." Jake shot back, his hands moving over the controls. He had no clue what he was doing, but the Lunacris seemed to guide him. He activated the ship's backup shields, deflecting a laser just before it punched through the hull. The console screen flickered, showing shield status, and Jake's sweat-soaked hands shook as he focused. Grok glanced over, all 3 eyes wide. "Not bad, human. Maybe Vera picked the right guy." Vera's shot nailed one enemy ship, exploding it into a fireball. But the other 2 kept pace, and Grok's ship shuddered under more hits. Jake tweaked the shields, but the Lunacris grew hotter, like his chest was about to burst. He clenched his jaw, ignoring the pain, though his hands trembled. "Malone, sit down," Vera yelled. "You're not trained for this." "I'm trying," Jake snapped, unable to stop. The Lunacris had a will of its own, steering his hands across the controls. Suddenly, a silver energy pulse erupted from his chest, surging through the console. The ship jolted, then shot forward at impossible speed, blasting through a cosmic dust cloud that hid them from the pursuing ships. Grok whistled. "What the hell was that? This ship ain't built for that kinda juice." Jake collapsed back into his seat, gasping, the Lunacris dimming. He wiped sweat from his face, mouth dry. Don't ask me. I just wanted a nap. Vera stared at him, a mix of awe and worry in her eyes. The Lunachrist, it's bonding with you. Its power's stronger than I thought. The ship steadied, cruising toward Zypheron. Tension hung heavy in the cabin. Grok checked the radar, confirming no more tails. We slipped them for now, but the Order won't quit. They'll hunt us on Zypheron. Jake rubbed his chest, the Lunachrist still aching. Great. So what's the plan? Meet this smuggler, figure out this metal chunk, then what? Vera sat, checking her device. Eldrin will have answers. But brace yourself, Malone. The Lunachrist isn't just an artifact. It's a key to something massive, something the Order would burn galaxies to get. Jake grimaced, shifting to avoid the spring. I don't want to be a key to Jack. I just want a burger and a long-ass nap. Grok laughed, clapping Jake's shoulder. I like this guy. Lazy as hell, but he's got guts. Maybe you picked a winner, Vera. Vera didn't reply, but her glance at Jake suggested she was thinking hard. The ship hurtled through space, bound for Zypheron, where secrets about the Lunachrist and Jake's fate awaited. The trip to Zypheron took hours, and Jake used the time to catch a few winks, though the torn seat and Lunachrist throbbing kept him from deep sleep. He dreamed of his mining days, when life was just digging ore, chugging cheap beer, and crashing in a cramped bunk. It wasn't glamorous, but nobody was trying to kill him, and there wasn't a glowing orb in his chest. He woke as the ship shook, signaling their descent into Zypheron's atmosphere. Through the window, he saw a blue-green planet with swirling clouds and cities gleaming with metallic spires. Zypheron looked slicker than Dracos 4, but something about it felt ominous, like it was hiding 1,000 secrets. Grok landed at a small spaceport nestled in a bustling night market. Neon lights lit up stalls selling everything from alien street food to black market weapons. Jake stepped off the ship, the cool Zypheron air soothing the lingering heat of Dracos 4. He took a deep breath, catching the scent of grilled meat from a nearby stand, his stomach roaring. Any chance we grab some food? Jake asked, pointing at the meat stall. Vera shook her head. We find Eldrin first. The Order might already have agents here. Jake sighed, following Vera through the market. Grok stayed with the ship, muttering about engine repairs. Zypheron's night market buzzed with color and noise, but Jake couldn't relax. The Lunachrist twinged with every quick step, and he felt eyes on him, as if the crowd knew he was carrying something extraordinary. Vera led him through tight alleys to an old building with a heavy metal door. She knocked 3 times, and the door creaked open, revealing a dim hallway. A tall, gaunt man with silver hair and a long cloak stood at the end. Eldrin Vox's sharp eyes made Jake feel like he was being x-rayed. Verit-san, Eldrin said. And this is the bearer? Jake shrugged. Name's Jake Malone. This glowing rock in my chest is my biggest problem. Can you yank it out? Eldrin gave a thin smile, gesturing them into a room packed with books and ancient tech. Come in. We have much to discuss. Eldrin Vox's room was a labyrinth of knowledge and chaos. Towering bookshelves stretched to the ceiling, crammed with worn leather tomes, yellowed scrolls, and metal cases hiding cryptic documents, standing shoulder to shoulder with flickering hologram screens and ancient tech humming low. A massive desk dominated the center, buried under handwritten manuscripts, strange metal tools, and a scanner-like device pulsing faint blue light. The air smelled of dried ink, machine oil, and a hint of something like incense, giving the place a vibe that was equal parts scholarly and dangerous, like secrets were born and buried here. Jake Malone flopped into a cracked leather chair, wincing as a spring jabbed his back, not unlike the torture device of a seat on Grok's junker ship. His faded green jacket still carried Dracos 4's red dust, and his torn boots chafed his raw heels. The Lunachrist in his chest throbbed with every breath, a nagging reminder he couldn't outrun this mess. His stomach growled loud enough to echo in the quiet room. Cool setup, Vox, he said, glancing around. But I'm still waiting to hear if you can yank this metal chunk out. I ain't cut out to be some bearer. I just want a nap and a decent meal. Eldrin, with his silver hair and gray cloak, stood at the desk, unrolling an ancient scroll with the care of handling a fragile relic. Strange runes, more intricate than anything Jake had seen, shimmered under the lamplight. "The lunacrest isn't something you can just remove, Mr. Malone," Eldrin said, his voice deep and smooth, carrying the weight of someone who'd seen too much. "It chose you, and that choice wasn't random." Jake grimaced, rubbing his stomach like he could hush its protests. "Chose wrong. I'm a lazy bum who naps in markets, scraping by on scavenged junk and trades. I ain't special. Got any food around here? I'm starving." He scanned the room, hoping for a stray cookie or anything edible, but saw only dusty scrolls and gadgets. Vera, leaning near the door in her liquid metal outfit shifting from silver to purple, shot Jake a glare. "Malone, focus. The Order of the Starvile's hunting us. This isn't the time to think about your stomach." Jake shrugged, slouching to dodge the spring. "Can't focus when my gut's screaming like this. And I didn't ask for this. This glowing rock picked me, not the other way around." Eldrin gave a faint, sympathetic smile. He opened a desk drawer, pulling out a small metal box and popping the lid to reveal a few crumpled foil-wrapped energy bars. "Eat," he said, sliding the box toward Jake. "We need you sharp for what I'm about to explain." Jake snatched a bar, tearing it open and sniffing. It smelled like stale crackers mixed with weird spices, not great, but not awful. He took a bite, chewing greedily, the odd sweet salty taste spreading across his tongue. "It'll do," he said, munching. "Still ain't a burger." He locked eyes with Eldrin, his tone hardening. "All right, spill. What's this thing, and why me? I'm no hero, no fighter, no nothing." Eldrin sat across from him, laying the scroll flat, his bony fingers tracing the ancient runes. "The lunacrest is an artifact from the ancient galactic era, millions of years old. It's not just a power source, it's a form of consciousness, a repository of knowledge from vanished civilizations. It doesn't choose its bearer based on strength, ambition, or fame, but on something harder to define. Potential, maybe. Heart, perhaps. Something even I don't fully grasp." Jake stopped chewing, staring at Eldrin skeptically, the bar stuck in his mouth. "Potential? Man, I'm the guy who sleeps through shifts. My only potential is napping 10 hours without a wake-up call." He swallowed, wincing as the bar caught in his throat and the lunacrest pulsed, like it was nodding along to his doubts. Vera stepped closer, arms crossed, her eyes sharp. "Eldrin, we don't have time for theories. The Order attacked us on the way to Zypheron. They know Jake's got the lunacrest, and they'll find us. We need to know what it can do and how to protect it." Eldrin nodded, his expression darkening, like he just remembered the danger closing in. "The Order of the Starvale believes the lunacrest is the key to the Infinite Gate, an ancient structure said to unlock boundless energy, or the total destruction of the galaxy. They're a fanatical cult, and they'll level Zypheron to get it." Jake swallowed hard, the bar sitting like a rock in his gut. "Infinite Gate? Sounds like a cheap sci-fi flick. I don't want anything to do with infinite anything. Get this thing out so I can go back to my normal life, napping in a freighter and eating burgers." He rubbed his chest, where the lunacrest pulsed harder, like it was scoffing at his plan. Eldrin shook his head, his eyes tinged with regret. "Removing the lunacrest would kill you. It's fused with your life force, part of you now. Try to extract it, and you'd be dead in minutes. But I can help you understand it, maybe even control it." Jake leaned back, rubbing his chest, trying to hide the fear creeping up. "Control? Like superpowers? I ain't no superhero. I can't even jog 5 minutes without wheezing." He glanced at Vera, hoping she'd back him up, but she just stood there, arms crossed, her eyes fierce, like she'd already accepted the fate Jake was dodging. Vera paced, her boots clicking on the stone floor, her voice taut. "We need to move, Eldrin. If the Order finds us here, we're done. They've got warships, spies, and resources we can't match. Grok's waiting at the port, but his ship won't survive a direct hit." Eldrin raised a hand, signaling calm, though his own unease showed, his eyes darting to the window where Xipheron's neon market lights flickered through metal slats. I have a device that can scan the Lunachrist, revealing more about its current state and what it holds. It might tell us why it chose Malone, and maybe how to harness its power. But I warn you, the process will hurt. Are you ready? Jake shrugged, shoving the rest of the bar in his mouth, chewing fast to mask his shaking hands. Pain's old news. I've been dragged, shot at, and chased all day. Go for it, but if I croak, I want a burger on my grave, deal? He tried to sound cocky, but his voice cracked, and cold sweat ran down his back at the thought of more pain. Eldrin led Jake to a metal chair in the corner, rigged with a glowing circular scanner surrounded by cables and blinking lights. Jake sat, the cold metal chilling him through his thin t-shirt, making him shiver. Eldrin adjusted the device, his fingers dancing over the controls with practiced precision. Breathe deep, he said, his tone reassuring but laced with tension. And try to stay still, no matter how much it hurts. Jake nodded, sucking in a shaky breath. A blue light swept over his chest, and the Lunachrist reacted instantly, flaring brighter, like it was fighting the intrusion. A jolt of pain, like 1,000 needles, shot from his chest through his limbs. Jake clenched his teeth, gripping the chair's arms, his nails scraping metal, fighting not to scream. Son of a bitch! He groaned, sweat pouring down his face, dripping onto the floor. Hold still! Eldrin barked, eyes glued to a hologram screen spitting out data, streams of numbers and graphs dancing wildly. It's transmitting more than I expected. Memories, images, and something like a map. Vera stood close, clutching her handheld device, her eyes a mix of worry and curiosity. Memories? A map? What's it telling us, Eldrin? Eldrin's brow furrowed, his voice dropping to a near whisper, like he feared being overheard. The Lunachrist isn't just storing energy. It holds the history of past bearers, civilizations, wars, their final moments. And this map, it points to the Grey Planet, a forgotten world at the galaxy's edge. Ancient records say it's where the Infinite Gate is hidden, or sealed. Jake groaned, the pain still searing, but he clung to the chair, refusing to collapse. A map? I ain't treasure hunting. Get this thing out. His voice broke, a mix of agony and desperation, but the Lunachrist didn't care, its light blazing brighter, like it was staking its claim. The pain eased as Eldrin powered down the scanner, and Jake gasped, slumping back, feeling like he'd sprinted across a galaxy. He wiped sweat from his face, hands trembling, and rubbed his chest where the Lunachrist still glowed faintly, daring him to defy it. I hate this thing, he muttered, voice hoarse. Grey Planet? Graveyard of civilizations? I ain't going anywhere with graveyard in the name. Vera leaned over the hologram, studying the data, her eyes sharp but worried. The Grey Planet's off modern star charts, known only in legends. If this map's real, we're walking into a minefield of ancient traps. But if the Infinite Gate's there, we can't let the Order beat us to it. Eldrin nodded, his eyes a mix of awe and fear. The Lunachrist didn't just choose Malone to carry it. It's waking up, and it wants him at the Grey Planet. I don't know why, but the answers are there. Jake shook his head, struggling to sit up, his body still shaking. Answers? I don't want answers. I want back to Dracos 4, crashing in some market corner, sleeping till this is a bad dream. I'm no hero, no explorer, no nothing. He looked at Eldrin, then Vera, pleading for an out, but both stared back with unshakable resolve. Before anyone could say more, an explosion rocked the room. Books tumbled from shelves, scattering across the floor, and the hologram flickered out. Vera rushed to the window, yanking aside the metal slats to peer through. The Order! She shouted, voice tight. They found us! At least 3 warships in the sky, troops on the ground. Jake staggered to his feet, legs wobbly, heart pounding. Knew it! I never get a damn break. He scanned the cramped, cluttered room for an exit, but it offered little hope. The Lunachrist pulsed harder, sensing the danger, and a strange energy coursed through him, making his hands shake. Eldrin grabbed a few ancient scrolls and a small drive-like device, stuffing them into a worn leather satchel. We have to go. There's a hidden tunnel under the building. It'll take us to the scrapyard where Grok's waiting. He darted to a bookshelf, pulling a fake book, and a secret door slid open, revealing a narrow staircase plunging into darkness. They raced down the steps, their footsteps echoing in the damp tunnel, the stench of earth, moss, and sewage hitting Jake's nose. The Lunacryst's glow lit the way, casting eerie shadows on the stone walls. This just keeps getting worse, Jake muttered. I didn't sign up to be a living flashlight. But there was no time to gripe as another blast shook the tunnel, sending dirt and pebbles raining from the ceiling. The tunnel dumped them into an abandoned warehouse at the market's edge, filled with rusted crates and tangled cables. Eldrin shoved open a broken door, and they stepped into Xiphoron's neon glow. The cool air eased Jake's feverish heat, but the relief lasted a second. A squad of white-cloaked figures emerged from the shadows, blocking every path. The Order of the Starvale, red glowing weapons in hand, had them surrounded. Above, 3 crescent warships hovered, their white light glaring down like deadly spotlights. Give us the bearer. A cold voice rang out from the leader, his face hidden under a starry hood. Or Xiphoron burns in our holy fire. Jake raised his hands, masking fear with a cocky shrug, though his heart felt like it had burst. Take me, but fair warning, I suck at teamwork. And I nap on the job. He glanced at Vera, praying she had a plan, 'cause all he had was a smart mouth and a glowing rock. Vera pulled Jake back, drawing a plasma pistol from her belt, its blue glow lighting her face. Nobody's taking him, she said, voice like steel, eyes scanning the enemy, calculating every move. Eldrin raised his hands, trying to negotiate, though his voice trembled. Order, listen. The Lunacryst isn't something you can control. It's destroyed those who tried to misuse it before, and it'll do the same to you. The leader's laugh was cold, like metal scraping stone. We'll decide that. He raised his weapon, and the others aimed in unison, red light from their barrels thick in the air. Before the fight could erupt, the Lunacryst flared, unleashing a blinding silver pulse. Everyone, even the Order, staggered back, stunned. Jake felt his body hijacked, his arms rising without thought, like the Lunacryst was puppeteering him. A shockwave of energy rippled out, shaking the ground, knocking the cloaked figures flat, their weapons skittering away. Nearby crates exploded, shrapnel flying, and screams echoed from the market. What the hell? Jake yelled, fighting to control himself, but his arms stayed raised, the Lunacryst's energy pouring out like a silver river. I ain't doing this! His chest burned, the pain worse than ever, but he couldn't stop. Vera grabbed his arm, yanking him hard, nearly toppling him. Run! She screamed, her voice cutting through the chaos. The Lunacryst's reacting! We gotta move! They bolted through the market, neon lights streaking past, the Order's shouts and footsteps pounding behind. Eldrin led, weaving through alleys and stalls, guiding them to a scrapyard at the market's edge. Grok's ship, a flying junk pile, hid among rusted crates. Grok waited inside, engines rumbling, his 3 eyes wide as they piled in. Get in now! Grok bellowed, hands flying over the controls, cursing as a laser from an Order warship grazed the hull. I owe you, Vera, but dragging a damn army along ain't part of the deal. The ship lurched into the air, blasting through Xiphoron's atmosphere, leaving the market and the Order behind. Jake collapsed into his seat, gasping, the Lunacryst dimly glowing. He rubbed his chest, the pain settling into a dull ache, and wiped sweat with his grimy sleeve. I hate this thing, he rasped. I don't want to be a flashlight, a weapon or anything. Eldrin sat across, studying Jake like a puzzle. You're more than a bearer, Malone. The Lunacryst's waking up, and it chose you for a reason. That power it just unleashed, that's a fraction of what it can do. We have to reach the Grey Planet for answers. Jake grimaced, shifting to dodge the spring. Grey Planet? I ain't going. I want back to Dracos 4, crashing in some market corner, sleeping till this is a nightmare. I'm no hero, no adventurer, no nothing. He looked at Eldrin, then Vera, begging for a way out. Vera sat beside him, her eyes softening for the first time, showing a flicker of empathy. Jake, I know you didn't ask for this. Nobody wants to be dragged into a war that ain't theirs. But if the Order gets the Lunachrist, the whole galaxy's screwed. You saw its power back there. In their hands, nobody's safe, not even you. Jake sighed, staring out the window at the twinkling stars in the endless black. Hope? I don't even know what I'm doing. This thing's running me, not the other way around. He rubbed his chest, the Lunachrist pulsing like a reminder he couldn't escape. But if I'm stuck, at least get me a burger first. I can't live on these damn bars. Grok cackled from the pilot's seat, clapping Jake's shoulder, nearly knocking him over. This guy's alright. Lazy as hell, but he's got balls. I'll find you a burger on the Grey Planet, but don't expect gourmet. Graveyards ain't known for cuisine. The ship roared through space, bound for the Grey Planet, where ancient secrets and new dangers waited. Jake stared at the stars, wondering for the first time if he was just a slacker, or if something bigger was calling. The Lunachrist pulsed, a silent vow that, like it or not, fate had him in its grip, and there was no turning back. Dear reader, as Xiphoron's neon glow fades and Grok's ship rockets into the endless dark toward the Grey Planet, I hope Jake Malone's journey has sparked a flicker of curiosity or emotion in you. Jake's story, a slacker who loves naps and burgers, thrust by fate into the role of the Lunachrist's bearer, is more than a wild ride across the stars. It's a question of how we face the paths life shoves us down, even when we'd rather stay in bed. The Lunachrist, with its silver light and cryptic power, isn't just an artifact. It's a symbol of unexpected burdens, hidden potential, and the fear of becoming something bigger than yourself. The heart of this story's ending lies in the moment Jake, however reluctantly, begins to feel the Lunachrist's power, not because he wants it, but because he's got no other choice. True strength, as this tale reveals, isn't about being tough or talented. It's about taking the next step, even when your knees are shaking and your heart's full of doubt. Jake's no hero, not yet, but his raw humanity, his laziness, his hunger, his goofy wisecracks, makes him the one the Lunachrist chose. What's the lesson here? Sometimes fate doesn't call the perfect, it calls the real, those willing to face fear to protect what matters, even if they don't see it at first. As you've walked with Jake, Vera, and Eldrin through neonlit alleys and shadowy tunnels, did your heart race with Jake's desperation, or did you crack a smile at his defiance? Did the Lunachrist's flair, puppeteering him like a marionette, make you wonder about the powers buried inside you? Did Vera's quiet compassion convince you that even in the darkest hours, a spark of connection can light the way? I wove this story in the still moments where reality and dreams blur, and I'm aching to hear your thoughts. Share your reactions, whether a gasp of awe or a thoughtful sigh. Does Jake make you laugh, or do you wish he'd step up faster? Is the Order of the Starvale menacing enough to make you fear for the galaxy's fate? Your feedback is my North Star, guiding me through this creative cosmos, showing me which stories to chase next. Maybe, like Jake and the Lunachrist, we've forged a bond, storyteller and reader, exploring the stars' secrets together. P.S. The Order's watching. The Grey Planet waits. Dare to keep going with Jake?